stitch definition is delicious. It's delectable. I'm really scared. I should have trusted you. I really should have. Hello and welcome to the Faded Wildflower Crochet. My name is Rachel. And a little while ago, I tried all of the yarns that you guys hated the most. Today, we are flipping the script and we are going to try the yarns that you love the most. I asked for you guys to tell me all of your favorite yarns, and I am genuinely so excited to see if these are as good as you say they are. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. So when it came to picking yarns that you guys hated, it was a lot easier because you guys mentioned the same yarns over and over again. There was just a pattern that was emerging, so it was easier to pick 4 from that list. But when it came to picking 4 from your favorite yarns, it was much harder because there was just a wide variety of yarns that were mentioned. So I decided that my criteria for this video would be 1, it had to be yarns that I have never tried before. 2, they had to be mentioned at least more than 1 time. I think all of these were mentioned at least 3 times. And then my third criteria is that I wanted to pick yarns all from different companies. Like for instance, Lion Brand was mentioned a lot, but I only picked 1 yarn from Lion Brand. Hobie was mentioned a lot. I only picked 1 yarn from Hobie. So I hope that that makes any kind of sense to you guys, but it made sense to my brain. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. Okay, so this was looking much nicer when I first got this in the mail, but I have to admit, I got this a few days ago and I cannot stop squishing it, which sounds really weird, but if you had this yarn in front of you, you would want to squish it too. So this is from Malabrigo, I think I'm saying that right. But this company was mentioned quite a few times. I had never heard of them before, but they are a small business that hand dyes their yarn. And the line Rios was mentioned the most, so I did go ahead and purchase a skein from that line. I found it really helpful that a lot of people in the comments were saying their favorite yarn and then what they like to make with it. And so I think we're gonna be making some type of wearable with this, probably a shawl, so that's exciting. Next up, we have Lion Brand 24/7 Cotton, which I have somehow never tried before. I, of course, have seen this around, but I have just never picked it up before. So a lot of people are saying that they like to make amigurumi with this, and a lot of people are saying that they like to make wearables with this. So we're gonna do both. I am going to be making my rat pattern with this, and then we're also going to be making, I think a headband will be a good choice. In a similar vein, we have YarnArt Jeans. A lot of people are saying that they like to make amigurumi. A lot of people are saying they like to make wearables. So we're again going to be making my bluebird design. And then we're also going to be making a headband. And then last, but hopefully not least, we have Hobie Sultan. I don't actually know how to say it. I keep wanting to say Sultan, like the Sultan from Aladdin, but I don't know if that's right. I'm sure somebody will correct me. I am infamous for mispronouncing things, so I apologize. But this is the Sultan Cotton. And I'm definitely the most nervous about this because it's just the most outside of my comfort zone. But we are going to be making a shawl with this one as well. So I really think that I want to go ahead and get started with this one right here. Because like I said, I am very intrigued by this. And I am going to have to figure out a way to wind this. I have a yarn winder, but I don't have a Swift. So I'm gonna have to rig something up, but I'm gonna go do that. And then I will check in with you for my first impressions, but I'm so excited. Okay, y'all, it is the next day, and yesterday was a doozy, let me tell you. So first of all, one of my kids is sick, which she is still sick, in the other room. And then I was having some technical difficulties. And then on top of that, it took me a good 3.5 hours to untangle this yarn. So what happened was I thought that I could just wrap it around my arm and then just like turn it into a ball that way. Well, it was a mistake because I set it down for just a second to go tend to my sick child and it got so tangled up. So that was really frustrating. But We got there. This is how far I've gotten so far, which it would be further, but I realized a mistake that I had to go frog back a few rows. Like I said, yesterday was a rough day, you guys. So I did just decide to do a granny triangle essentially, and then this is going to end up being a shawl. I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. But I also realized that yesterday I did not tell you anything about this yarn. So let me backtrack and tell you a little bit about this yarn, and then I will tell you my thoughts on it so far. So like I mentioned yesterday, Malabrigo is a small business. They do have a website, but you can't purchase from their website. They make the yarn and then they send it out to like small yarn companies, and you have to buy it that way, which I just did not realize when I had seen this yarn brand on the list. So I went to Amazon, which I do regret. I am trying to shop on Amazon a lot less, but a small business called Hugga Bugga Yarns has an Amazon storefront, so I bought it that way. But like I said, I do kind of regret that, and I am wanting to support small businesses more, which I do have some ideas for that coming up, so stay tuned. So this line called Rios is a worsted weight yarn. It is 100% merino wool and has 210 yards per skein. Now, this is not the cheapest yarn in the world. I did pay, I believe, around $18.50, something like that per skein. So it is on the pricey side, but you do have to think about the fact that you are supporting a small business and that this is a really high quality yarn. I just realized that I had fuzz on my shirt this entire time, which we will get to the fuzz problem here in just a second. So as far as my thoughts so far go, this is so easy to work with, so nice to work with. It does have that like soft, squishy texture to it. It does not remind me of wool at all. If you've never tried a merino wool, you wouldn't even know that you were working with wool unless it said it on the packaging. It is so soft, so lovely to work with. Okay, so now we need to talk about a few kind of iffy things about this yarn. So the first thing is definitely something that's my fault because I didn't scroll all the way down in the description, and it did say that sometimes the dye lots will look a lot different than the sample photo, which is understandable because this is a hand dyed yarn. So I will put up a little side by side of what this looks like versus what the sample showed, which I don't really mind because I still think this is quite gorgeous, but that is just something to note that it might look pretty different from the sample photo. So if you want something exactly like that sample photo, you might not get that. Another thing that I have to note is that this does smell like dye. It actually reminds me of the smell when you are dyeing Easter eggs. If you're familiar with that smell, it has like a little bit of a like vinegary smell along with the dye. I actually had my husband touch this. I was like, feel how soft this is. Can you believe this is wool? And he's like, oh, what does that smell? Like he hated it. It doesn't really bother me that much, but it is something to note. I really don't know, since this is the first time that I've ever tried hand-dyed yarn, if they all smell like that or if it's just this company. Maybe you guys can let me know. And then my last concern, like I mentioned, there are fuzzies that come off of this yarn. Let me show you. Like this is how many just like little fuzzies that I've gathered so far. I don't really know why that is happening. Again, I don't know. This is the first time I've ever tried hand-dyed yarn. This is the first time I've ever tried merino wool. So I don't know if that's just the nature of this kind of yarn or if it's just this yarn in particular. It's not the worst I've ever seen. It actually kind of reminds me of when I did the Stranger Things kit and that yarn had all the little fuzzies on it. That one was worse than this for sure. But it does remind me of that feeling of like, you're just crocheting and then it's like, oh, a little fuzzy, a little fuzzy. So all of those things are like a little bit iffy, kind of annoying, but overall, I'm having a great time working with this. It is so beautiful. Like I said, so just luxurious to work with, honestly. So I definitely, so far, understand why this was on y'all's list of favorites, but I am going to finish this up hopefully today, and I'll give you my final thoughts on, what is it called? Malabrigo Rios. The seasoned shawl makers among you may have seen this coming, but I did in fact run out of yarn before I could truly make an actual shawl. This is more like a bandana. So I did not weave in my end because I'm not sure what I'm going to end up doing with this. If I'm going to take it out and make something else, I don't know. Because the thing is, if I were to buy another skein of this, it could be a completely different color. So I don't know what I'm going to end up doing. I'm just going to hold on to it for now. I know that you can also block things that are made with wool. So I might try that at a later date. This is just truly a gorgeous yarn. It is so beautiful. It continued to be really easy to work with. And after I got over that like initial little bit, there weren't any more fuzzies. So I don't really know what was up with that, but this yarn is just so lovely to work with. I definitely could see this being so great for so many different types of wearables. The thing that holds me back from saying for sure if I would buy this again is that price tag. I have to be honest with you. I know that it would be a great yarn to make a sweater out of in the winter because it would be warm, but it would also be nice and squishy and not too itchy. I know a lot of wool can be itchy, not this one, but if I bought enough of this yarn to make a sweater with this, it would cost an arm and a leg. And so it would definitely have to be one of those things where it would be a special occasion. So I could see myself maybe setting aside some like birthday money or something like that. You know, I understand why it costs the way that it does. I have to be very clear about that. Of course, for my wallet, I wish it was less expensive, but I understand why it's the price that it is because you are supporting a small business. So I'll keep you updated on what I end up doing with this. Maybe you will see this featured in a future like scrap busting video and we'll decide what to do about this. But until then, we are going to move on to this right here, which is the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. Just to talk a little bit about this before we get started, this is a medium weight. Each of these skeins is 189 yards. And let me look up really quick what I paid for this. So this cost $5.99 per skein. I think I got this on sale at the time that I bought it. I think that it was like $4 per skein, something like that when I purchased this. But right now on the Lion Brand website, it is $5.99. So we are going to go ahead and get started on the amigurumi with this first. And I will tell you what it's like to make a little rat in this. Hello, you guys. It is the next day, and I have this absolutely lovely cold sore on my lip that's joining us today. But who else is joining us today but this little rat, which, oh my goodness, he is so adorable. I feel like the eyes are a little crooked. That's okay. Just gives him some character. And I have to admit, I was going through it with this yarn at first. Because let me show you this texture if I can. Can you see that it's woven together in such a way that it's almost like a chain? And at first I was like, what is this? This feels like crocheting with a rope. Like, what is going on? And I went for a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook at first because that's just what I typically use with the size 4. But I would say that this is on the smaller end of a size 4. So I went down to a 3.25 and that seems to have been the perfect size for me. I was really worried. I was worried that there was going to be just so much gapping in my work. It was going to be stiff and weird and hard to work with. But in the end, I actually love it. And I think that I have discovered something about myself. I am a little bit iffy on cotton yarn. Some I like and some I don't so much, especially for amigurumi. But this is mercerized cotton. And my favorite other cotton is Catch 100% cotton. and it is much thinner than this, but that is also a mercerized cotton. And it's the yarn that I use to make all of my headbands that I wear in my videos. And I love working with it for that. And so I think that the truth is I just really like mercerized cotton over just your standard cotton. And I don't really know what mercerized means exactly. I know it's some sort of treatment that they do to the yarn to just, I think it gives it like this little bit of a sheen to it. It just, I don't know, for me anyway, it just seems a little less stiff than other cottons, but I really, really like this. And I mean, look how cute. Look at the stitch definition. And in the end, the texture, it still feels like a cotton yarn, but it does feel like really nice and durable. And again, it just doesn't have that like super, super structured stiffness to it that other cottons do. So I definitely see what you guys are onto with this. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to making a headband, which I will link the pattern for this headband. It is essentially 4 granny squares that you sewed together, but I will go ahead and link that pattern down below. But I'm gonna go work on that now, and I'll check in with you guys to see what it's like working with this for other things other than amigurumi, but so far so good. Okay, you guys, it is the next day, and as you could probably hear in my voice, I am sick. Now, I do not normally film at all when I'm sick, but because it is summer break, it's actually the first day of summer break for my children, I have to film in like any little pocket of time that I can find, and my husband was off work today, and he took the girls to the movies, and so I was like, I need to hop on camera, tell the people about how I feel about this 24/7 cotton headband. Now, I do have to say off the bat that I ended up using a bigger hook size than the packaging called for. The packaging called for a size 4mm, and I, at the time, could not find my 4mm crochet hook anywhere. But I did end up finding it with a project that I was working on, so I did find it now, but I worked this in a 4.5, and I do think that it was just like slightly too big. I like my stitches to be a little bit tighter, even for things like headbands. And so if I were to work with this again for a garment, I would definitely go to a 4mm because I just think the stitches would look a little bit better. But other than that, I really, really like it. I think it looks so good. It is so nice and comfortable. I would 100% make a garment out of this yarn. I probably will be doing that in the future. Stay tuned. Would I repurchase this yarn? 100%. I would make an amigurumi with it again. I would make a garment with it again. So thank you guys so much for introducing me to this because it is amazing. You guys were definitely right about this yarn. So now we are going to move on to the next yarn, which is the Hobbii Sultan yarn. I am definitely the most afraid of this. I was going to leave this for last just because I am the most scared of it, but I was like, I'm gonna be brave. I'm going to go ahead and work on this. Let me see if I can show you. I've got some yarn barf here, hold on. Okay, let me see if I can show you up close that this is 4 strands of yarn here that are like not woven together at all. It's really, really loose. Like that is intentional. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it. I've never worked with yarn like this before. But let's talk a little bit about these specifics. This is a size 2 fine. It is 100% cotton. It does say to use a 4mm hook, so I'm glad that I found mine. It is, let's see how many yards, 437 yards. It looks small, but there is a lot of yardage in this. So I did get the solid shade. So I do have to say that the most popular version of this yarn is like a really pretty ombre, like gradient effect, and they do look quite beautiful. But those yarns were $22 per skein, and I just have a feeling I'm probably not going to absolutely love this yarn. So I decided to just get these solids, which are, I think, like $9. And I think I may have even got this on sale for a little bit cheaper. So they are, you know, a little bit more affordable. but also a little less yardage. But again, I don't know if I'm gonna love this, and I really didn't want to spend $22 on a yarn that I wasn't sure if I was going to love. But we are going to try this for the yarn itself. And I do think that this purple color is quite pretty. So my plan is to make another granny triangle with this. Hopefully I have enough yardage, because people were saying in the comments that they like to make shawls out of this. Now, again, I don't know if I'm going to have enough to make a shawl, and I also don't know if I'm going to be able to stay, like if I absolutely hate working with this yarn. What I can do is just turn the granny triangle into like a little headscarf instead of a shawl. So that is the plan for this. I don't know, maybe this will shock me in the end and I will end up absolutely loving it. Even though I'm sick, all I really want to do is like lay back on the couch, watch a movie, and crochet something a little bit mindless. So that is why I decided to do this today, and hopefully this isn't as hard to work with as I think it's going to be. I'm really scared. Hello, you guys. It is the next day, and I'm definitely feeling a lot better than yesterday, but not well enough to go to the birthday party that the rest of my family is at, which makes me kind of sad. Happy birthday to my niece. But anyway, we got to talk about this yarn. Here's the thing. I don't hate it. I sound like I'm trying to convince myself that I don't hate it, but I really don't hate it as much as I thought I was going to. But as evidenced by the fact that I did not make this into a shawl and instead just made this into a little headband, you can probably tell that I was pretty done working with this at a certain point. I can really recognize when I try a yarn that I can see why other people like it, but it's just not a yarn for me. So let me tell you the journey that I went through with this yarn. Actually, let me try this on. Okay, actually, this is so cute. I really like it. I wasn't sure if I was going to, because the thing is these type of bandanas were popular whenever I was a teenager because the Olsen twins used to wear them. And so of course I had to wear them. And sometimes like revisiting those trends from when I was a teenager makes me feel a little weird, but I think this is so cute. It actually looks really, really good. So I did start off with a 4mm crochet hook, and I started off doing double crochets the way that I do them, which is yarn under. I know most people don't do them that way. I learned to crochet from a library book, and I learned to crochet yarn under because I didn't know any better. And so I still mostly do it that way. But with this yarn, I found going down to a 3.5 and then doing the yarn over worked a lot better for me. I say better, still not perfect, because the yarn is just 4 strands that are just hanging there. And so it is really hard to actually get your tension right and get all 4 of those strands through. I was wanting to pull, like, I guess you can call it splitting because, you know, you are splitting in between these. It's just so easy to do if you don't have your tension exactly perfect, which I did get there, and I got to where I finally got into a good flow. But at first I was like, oh gosh, I'm actually just despising this. I don't understand why anyone likes it. But once I switched to the smaller hook and the yarn over, it, like I said, was a lot better. Still just not for me. I don't know that I would personally have the patience to be able to work with this all the time. It just doesn't really work for my style as much as it would with others, but it's not a bad yarn. It really isn't. It is light and flowy and drapey. I think that's like the best thing about it is like it drapes really nicely. I can again see why someone would want to make a top out of this. It's just not going to be me. I have no idea what I'm going to do with the rest of this. I got a lot of it left. So if you have any ideas of what to do with this, let me know. I might make some other like matching bandanas for my daughters. That would be cute. But other than that, I can't see me working on a really big project in this. But if you can handle it, more power to you. Okay, guys, so we are on to our last yarn of the day, which is this YarnArt Jeans yarn. That's upside down. A lot of people were saying that they make both amigurumi. Yes, I know that I say the word amigurumi wrong, but I literally cannot get my brain, like I have to slow down if I want to say it correctly. I automatically say amigurumi, but I know that it's supposed to be amigurumi, and my brain just does not want to say that correctly, so please forgive me. So we are going to be making an amigurumi with this, and we're also going to be making a headband similar to how we did with the 24/7 cotton. But let me tell you a little bit about this yarn first. It is a cotton acrylic blend, which does make me a little bit nervous just because most of the time I don't really enjoy a cotton acrylic blend for amigurumi, but you never know until you try something. This is a 45% acrylic, 55% cotton blend. It is 174 yards per skein. This is a size 2 fine. And do we have a color name? I think the colors are just like numbers. Also, I paid, I think, $5 for this, around $5 per skein. So anyway, we are going to go ahead and make a little bluebird. By all accounts, I should not like this yarn. It's a cotton acrylic blend, which I'm always kind of iffy about. It's a size 2 when I usually kind of prefer a size 4 or above, if we're being honest. But despite all of that, I love this yarn. And I mean, look at this cutie. It looks amazing. The stitch definition is delicious. It's delectable. I don't know what to tell you, but this looks amazing. And I had no problems getting my tension right, no problems with splitting, snagging, nothing. And I love the texture in the end. It's so funny because if I could compare just the way that the yarn feels and kind of looks to other yarns, it would be like the My Ami yarn from Hirschner's, or even the Karen Cotton Cakes, even though that one was a little bit thicker. But texture-wise, it reminds me a lot of those. Those are all cotton acrylic blends. But for whatever reason, I like this one so much more. I think I had troubles getting my tension right with those other ones. They kind of leaned a little bit more on that cotton side of things. And this one is slightly more cotton than it is acrylic, but I definitely think they just really struck the balance right with this one. It has that like malleability, I don't know if that's a word, that acrylic yarn has. It's just like malleable and softer, but it still has that nice structure that a cotton yarn has. They blended it perfectly, and the colors as well. Now I realized I didn't have a gray color for the nose and the beak, so I just had to pull something out of my own collection. But this blue and this red together look incredible. I have no bad things to say about this. None whatsoever, which is actually wild. I usually can find at least something I don't like about a yarn. I can't find anything I don't like about this. I'm speechless. I don't know what else to say. I did not expect to like this as much as I do, but I mean, just, it speaks for itself. Look at that. This definitely is brightening up my day on a day that I still don't feel very well. Thank you guys so much for introducing me to this yarn yet again. I think I might actually even like this one a little bit more than the 24/7 cotton, even though I really like that one a lot as well. I really should have trusted you guys and trusted that you had good taste. So I am going to go ahead and make my little granny square headband like I did with the 24/7 cotton. And I'm realizing that this is a very granny-centric video today with the granny squares and the granny triangles. I didn't even think about that. But I am going to go ahead and make a headband, and then I will come back and tell you my final thoughts on this yarn. Hopefully it goes just as well for granny squares as it did for my little bluebird. Okay guys, the headband is finished. I love the way this looks. I love the way it feels. The fabric is so nice and soft while also being nice and structured as well. This yarn, they really did find that balance perfectly. This is a great yarn. I could definitely see myself once again making a top with this, making a cardigan with this. It has so many possibilities. I was looking through just now and there are so many color options in this yarn as well. I could definitely see myself repurchasing this for both amigurumi and for garments, which again, that's 2 yarns in this video that I love for both. So this was the last project for this video. And before I give you my final thoughts, I want to know which of these projects was your favorite. To give it to this bluebird here, but honestly, I really enjoyed all the projects in this video and I enjoyed all of the yarns except for maybe the Sultan yarn. This one, I just have to admit, is just not for me, but I can see that it's a very good yarn. But with all of the other ones, I could definitely see myself repurchasing and using again and again. I was so scared going into this video that I was just going to hate all the yarns that you guys love. But you guys have amazing taste. I should have trusted you. I really should have. You have such good taste in yarn. I feel really grateful that you guys introduced me to some really, really great yarns. So kudos to you guys for having incredible, impeccable taste in yarn. Be sure to leave any of your other favorite yarns in the comments down below. I would love to do a part 2 of this video because if your tastes were this good for this video, I want to try everything that you guys like. If you've made it to this part of the video, I want to know, what were you working on as you watched today's video? If you did like today's video, be sure to hit the like button. You can subscribe, stick around, let me know what other kind of videos you want to see next. You can join my Patreon where I make a bonus video as well as an exclusive pattern once a month. And thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time.